At first, Hui thought loneliness meant that something in his life had gone wrong. The quiet room, the long afternoons, the absence of messages and plans all felt like proof that he had somehow fallen behind. But as one silent season stretched on, he began to discover something unexpected. Being alone was not only emptiness, it was also space. And in that space, he slowly began to hear himself again. Hui did not notice the loneliness right away. It arrived gradually, hidden inside ordinary changes. Friends became busy. Group chats grew quieter. Weekend plans happened less often. Work shifted online, and the days started passing without many real conversations. Nothing dramatic ended, and yet the world around him became softer, emptier, more distant. At first, he filled every quiet moment with something. Videos while eating, music while cleaning, his phone open while walking from one room to another. Noise while falling asleep, noise while waking up, noise to keep him from feeling the size of the silence. But silence has a way of waiting. And one day, when the apartment was still, the sunlight low, and there was no one to call just for the sake of not being alone, Hui finally felt the truth of his own life pressing gently against him. Not all at once, just enough to make him sit down. That afternoon, warm light spilled across the floorboards and climbed slowly up the side of his desk. The air felt still, almost tender. On the shelf nearby were old books, a dried plant, and a ceramic cup holding pencils he rarely used. Hui sat in front of his notebook with the restless feeling of someone who wanted to be anywhere else. He wrote one sentence. "Why am I so uncomfortable being alone?" The answer did not come quickly. He tapped the pen against the paper, looked out the window, then back down at the page. Finally, he began. "Because silence makes me feel forgotten. Because I don't know what to do with myself when no one needs me. Because I use busyness to avoid certain feelings. Because when I'm alone, I notice how lost I feel." That last line surprised him. He had thought loneliness was only about missing people. But what if it was also about missing himself? Missing the quiet parts of his inner life he had neglected for too long. Missing the ability to sit still without reaching for distraction every 30 seconds. He turned the page. What is loneliness trying to show me? I need a slower life. I have been living too much on the outside. I do not know my own rhythms anymore. I keep avoiding myself. Maybe solitude is not empty. Maybe I am just unfamiliar with it. He put the pen down and sat there while the late light warmed the page. That evening, Hui did something very small. He did not put on music while making tea. He did not open a video while drinking it. He simply sat by the window and let the room remain quiet. At first, it felt strange. Then, slowly, it felt less like punishment and more like contact. He noticed the sound of the kettle cooling, the shape of sunlight changing on the wall, the way his breathing slowed when nothing else was demanding attention. He noticed how tired he was, not physically, but emotionally. Tired of constant stimulation, tired of filling every gap, tired of living as if silence were something to fear. Over the next weeks, he began protecting small moments of solitude, not because he had become perfectly peaceful overnight, but because he was beginning to understand their value. He wrote in the notebook most evenings, sometimes about memories, sometimes about things he missed, sometimes about what he wanted his life to feel like if it became less crowded and more sincere. He started taking short walks without headphones. He cooked one simple meal each night without multitasking. He made the room warmer, softer, more his. A cloth on the desk, a lamp with gentler light, a plant by the window. A life that felt inhabitable, not merely functional. And little by little, the loneliness changed shape. It was still there sometimes, especially on certain evenings when the sky darkened early and the room felt too still. But it no longer felt like a verdict. It felt like a doorway.
Hello there.
A doorway
It's so
into
good to see
slowness,
you.
into self-knowledge, into the kind of quiet in which a person stops performing and begins listening. Months later, when friends returned and life became fuller again, Hui noticed something important.
They already have the fire going.
He no longer reached for people out of panic. He chose connection more gently, more honestly. Because now he had a life within himself, not only around himself. And that changed the quality of everything. Being alone can feel painful when you have spent too long defining yourself through motion, response, and noise. But solitude has its own quiet mercy. It removes the performance. It removes the rush. It gives your neglected inner life a chance to breathe. Sometimes loneliness is not only about the absence of others. Sometimes it is the invitation to return to the parts of yourself you have left waiting in silence for too long. So if your life feels unusually quiet right now, do not rush to fill every space. Sit down, open the notebook, let the stillness speak a little. You may find that the room is not as empty as you thought. You may find that you are still there, waiting to be met. If this touched you, comment, "I'm learning to be with myself." Subscribe for more soft, reflective life stories for quiet healing and motivation.